Who is driving your bus of life? Is it your wounded child or you, the driver?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Energy Healing Conversations. We're in season 2 of Spiritual Awakening Stories. And today we're going to be talking about healing through illness and self-reconnection. I've got Janine in the studio with me today. Hi, Janine. I'm really excited to hear your story. I know your story. We've walked a long journey together, but I'm really excited to hear it from the heart and really go down different avenues. So, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Yes. So, who am I? I don't like to use definitions and roles to define who I am. So, I really feel like I'm a soul that is very inquisitive, that usually sees the silver lining in life. And I've been doing that on earth for about 49 years. So, I've been here for 49 years, happily married for 20, and I have two children. And I have a beautiful healing practice where I call myself, in the old days, a facilitator of transformation. My first business card was that. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Why am I not taking on this definition of energy healer? Because it felt different. My purpose to be here, it felt different. It was transformation. And so, what I offer people is a space for them to transform into who they truly be, not who they think they're supposed to be. And so that goes into working with the energy centers, strengthening the energy centers so that they can face life's challenges with more ease, so that we gain the learning, the message behind that experience, so we can evolve on a spiritual level, but use that wisdom in our human life. What do we want to create and what do we know is possible? So I help people identify why they're choosing what they're choosing. And then, do you know that there's another way to choose, not from a trauma or conditioning or programming, old energy? So we clear out old energy and creating space to outcreate the reality they think is real. And like, hang on. And so I support people in doing that in the different energy medicine modalities that I've learned over the last 15 or 20 years.
It sounds amazing. What we really would like to hear today is your story. Like where did it start and what was life like before this awakening? And a bit of an A-type personality, I think, was there. And do you just want to talk us through that and what was happening for you, Janine?
Yes. I realized I was always trying to be the best of whatever I was doing. And apparently I was really good at everything, but I never recognized it. I never valued it. So there was always a drive to do it better. There was always a negative self talk, which of course created a lot of anxiety. Yeah, no contentment, no fulfillment. And just there was a searching, but not knowing what that even looked like or felt like. So I was diagnosed with a social anxiety disorder in my 20s, which made a whole lot of sense. I had spastic colon issues, in the gut. I would bite my nails down to bleeding, just always anxious, waking up with this knot in my stomach. And I realized that, actually, I didn't realize then, I was numbing out so much to what I was picking up in my environment, but not being told, yes, that is true. It was like, no, you're not feeling, what you're sensing is not real. So I started really mistrusting what I was picking up in my environment, in my home life, with my friends. And so I would shut down, completely numb out to the actual physical sensations I think I was feeling. And maybe it could have been intuitive. Maybe I came in intuitively and then just wasn't supported in that way to really hone those skills and trust my intuition. I had to block it off because I felt I was wrong. And then I can't make mistakes as well. This whole, I've got to get it right. And it was very interesting. I didn't understand where that came from because my upbringing, my parents tried for 7 years to get me. So when I did come, they treated me like this treasure. They did support me the best that they could, but it was just never enough for me. And so just always feeling, I'm just I need to try better, I need to try harder, which is exhausting. And what I felt was what I was doing then is I ignored my happiness and what I needed. I then focused on other people and their experiences. Are you having the best experience? What can I do to make sure that you are gaining what you need to? So very controlling. And if it didn't work out the way I wanted to, anger, resentment, um, it has to be this way. And then when it didn't work out, so completely taking away people's power in their own experience and feeling pain and sadness, just trying to resist all of that. And then obviously resisting the pain within me, like, no, it's not there, it's not there. But after many years, it started then transpiring on a physical level.
So how long did this kind of go on? When did this start appearing? In your early teens, or when did this start appearing in for you, this social anxiety kind of disorder, I guess?
Yeah, it was a disorder. I mean, I was probably in my teens, around 13, 14. I started drinking from a very early age, just numbing out, numbing out. Um, yeah, from a very early age. And in my 20s, it got to a point where I was putting myself in dangerous situations. And the angels are obviously watching over me. And I found my partner, like I've known my partner for over 30 years, and he was in my life. And he said, Janine, I know there is more here. I can see the spark. I can see what you can't see. Will you go look for help? And so I started reaching out and trying to figure out what is going on. I had two young kids then, so this was a little bit later on. Um, oh no, let me reverse back. So yeah, in my 20s, I went to a homeopath and he put me on homeopathy and we started chatting about who is driving your bus of life. Is it your wounded child or you, the driver? And I realized my wounded self, and realizing that wounded self had actually come from past lives and all of the processing and readings and understandings. I brought this feeling, maybe it could be called karmic, into my life. It wasn't, yes, of course, we have traumas and things happen in childhood, but I brought this in. And so that then dictated as a child what I was bringing into my life to re experience that. You know, your frequency and what you hold in your energy now, life meets you at that frequency. So I was attracting situations, giving me an opportunity to choose from a different place. And I was choosing from old stuff, not what is really possible. So yeah, in my late 20s, well, yeah, I started medication. I did start medication in my 20s. They put me on SSRIs, the serotonin uptake, all of that, and of course it helped. I wasn't numbing out. I wasn't self-medicating with illegal substances, and of course, and the timing. I think I changed so much in a way where I was calm. My fuse, which was my fuse was this short, like do not upset me, otherwise I'd thrash out, I would get physically hot, I'd have to take my clothes off, there was this burning inside. That stopped. I could sit in what was going on from pharmaceutical, and it helped me get to a place where I could then, okay, and this is when my partner said, all right, let's go see why this is happening. And so that's when I started discovering the energy behind what's going on. Still stayed on pharmaceuticals for about 7 years, but in my late 20s discovered what a chakra was. And it was such an interesting story. I was Googling Zumba dancing. I felt I needed to go and move. And I ended up arriving to a chakra healing dancing group. I was like, what is a chakra? And I started focusing on learning about the chakras and started going to see a healer. And slowly I started weaning myself off the medication. And I'm not sure how long it took, but I didn't need that anymore to cope with being the mother, the wife, the good daughter, the good sister, all of that. It was manageable. So the allopathic allowed me to start exploring what's truly going on an energy level.
And the drinking, I haven't told my story. My story will be told in a podcast soon. But talk to me a little bit about, did you continue the drinking along that, or did once you started taking the
No,
medication?
I didn't need to. I didn't need to because the alcohol would calm me down. Because of the social anxiety disorder, I thought everybody was watching me, everybody was judging me, but I was doing that to myself. And so if I had alcohol, I was more receptive to myself. But the problem was, what I say a problem is that when I did drink alcohol, my other side came up, that one that I was trying to squish and pretend didn't exist, my shadow. That so when I drank, it allowed that part of me to come up, which also obviously caused major issues. So I found the medication helped me to look at the shadow and what I was trying to repress in a more gentle way. And so I had to start expressing that burning more consciously in the moment, not hold it in and allow, and then the alcohol would just obviously, you know how it goes. So no, so the alcohol consumption stopped. I didn't need that anymore.
So there was therapy, some healing, some dancing. I'm curious to know at what point the past life karma was dealt with. Was that before? Because as we know, from there were at some point there was a physical dis-ease that happened within the energy. So I'm curious to know when the past life work came
That
in,
awareness.
and when was the manifestation of the physical symptom of this kind of
Mm.
controlling A-type anxious personality.
So when I would go for healings, and I'd go for group healings where they would do sound baths on you and raise the frequency so high that you would just spontaneously go into regression. And so I saw how different parts of my life I was rejected, abused. Um, I hurt other people unintentionally as well. I was misunderstood. So there was always this misunderstanding or not being good enough in previous lives or being rejected, pushed aside, ostracized. Quite a few of those images came, and it made sense of why I can't get this life wrong. I can't do that again because either I suffered or other people suffered. So it just gave me an awareness. Oh, that's where that came from. Okay. So it gave me a bit of sense of peace. But that's really like part of your journey. You gain awareness and knowing of why. But then it's like, okay, so now what? Where am I choosing from? Do I still want to choose from that space? No, that is not me anymore. I've learned, I've grown. Where can I forgive myself and really let that go and be a complete allowance and be more aware than being head fast on this is the belief and that's the perception. This is how it's supposed to be. No.
Can you talk a little bit in, because I think one of the challenges is, what is self-forgiveness for you? What does that mean for you?
That I know that at that time, I really tried my best. I was in my heart with whatever tools, knowing, support I had. I was really a good person. I just didn't know any better. I could see in those images that you are a good person. You are actually more than enough. And I forgave myself at that point, knowing now, look what I have now. Look how I am now. I am gentle and kind. I no longer choose to be that way. And that's enough. But the self love really comes through looking at your strengths and your weaknesses and loving yourself anyway. So it's really being your own best friend, loving yourself unconditionally, really, just because I might not have liked what I chose, but I still had to get to a point of love. And I only started loving myself, and my heart cracked open. I felt this pain in my chest in my middle 20s, I think. Again, I was in groups of people holding space for me to start looking. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't love myself. And I'd been doing work for a few years already, but there was still something. So it was a consistent process, weekly gathering, sitting, feeling, being authentic around what you did. And just like, it's okay, like how you would forgive a child. That's what I had to do for myself.
Yeah. Talk to me a lot about loving all of you, because I think it's such a valuable lesson to hear. How did you integrate the things that you didn't like about yourself, or that you had tried so hard to be the good, clever, funny, whatever, at being, because,
Life of the party.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Like, why did I feel I needed to do that?
but there are parts of us that I still wanted to go, I still wanted to be love and light. But how did you stop what I call spiritual bypass? How did you, for the want audience of a better word, I think spiritual bypass is such a, I don't know, let's rather call it, how did you integrate the parts you didn't like? How did you forgive those? Because that's the good parts, and forgiving certain things. But we're warts and all, really, aren't we? We're human beings. We're here we're perfect in our imperfection. How did you love your imperfection?
With curiosity and like, wow, that was interesting, not judging it. That's interesting. There's a neutrality there. I'm not aligning and agreeing with anything, but I'm also not resisting and reacting to anything. I'm in allowance of what happened and just being gentle and kind. But, in reflecting, I think the integration happened where if I look at my journey, I seem to have a 7-year cycle in my spiritual evolution where I've noticed in my teens, I was working, not my teens was more solar plexus, but I'm referring back to now the actual chakra healing work where I realized for those years, I was really diving deeply into experiencing what it feels like not to belong. I think that was probably my childhood, root chakra. Didn't feel like I belonged. I felt the world was an unsafe place. I didn't resonate with my biological family. That's all root chakra. And I had to go in and work through that. And I made choices and decisions that I had to face and move through so that I could really create, as we know, that really strong foundation. Like, you know what, I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can get my basic needs met. And that was practically. I moved from my hometown to Cape Town and I had to do that. I really had to see, gosh, you can do that, Janine. Look how you survived. I don't even know how I survived, but I did. And then if I look at the next stage of my life, it was absolutely sacral energy center. My sacred sexual energy, my boundaries, my self gratification, and my addictions were sitting in my sacral. And I had to go through that and not spiritually bypass, sit in it, see what I chose, and look at the definitions I had and redefine beliefs around what the second energy center is about. And so I have seen that this is a natural evolution that I had to go through. How can I be upset with that? This is beautiful. I've learned so much. Then moving into the solar plexus, um, you know, working with all of that, you and Sue challenging me as well to, do the teaching, do your courses. Gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. I had to have everything. My treatment room, remember, it wasn't about the act, it was, I had to have the right music and everything else besides I'm here to channel. I had to really move through challenging myself to actually get it wrong, which was wonderful. And now, in the last 7 years, I've been in my heart center, which is going to be ending next year. So that means I'm going to be moving to my throat chakra. I'm in awe and so much gratitude for being in the shadow, because that's the only way I've learned. And I've learned all the different energy healing modalities, which I now offer my clients. I offer only what I've embodied and what has worked for me. And if I didn't go through that, so how can you not love what you've chosen? I love all of it. It's like, thank you for being like that. Thank you. That's all really.
I think that's such a beautiful story through the chakras and your life evolving um, through each of these chakras, and kind of what happens when you find yourself doing the perfection thing now. How do you respond? Because our shadow doesn't go away, really.
No, 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 it doesn't. But no, it doesn't. Your wounded child doesn't go away. I did so much inner child work. Yeah, yeah. So when I see her pop up, and okay, like there's an opportunity that's come, and I get this, oh gosh, my breathing changes, and I get this, and I'm like, okay, hold on. What do you think you need to prove? What are you trying to avoid? What are you trying to defend? That if you didn't, would actually create an experience of ease and joy and exploration. I have a conversation with my inner child, and I understand why you feel like this. I love you anyway. like a hug, it's fine. I'm driving my bus. You can be a passenger because I've learned so much from you, but I'm driving the bus because I know in my wisdom of 49 years almost that I know what's possible. You don't, and that's okay. But I need your gifts. I need your joy, your excitement, your passion for helping people. But we're not doing it to prove that you can. We're doing it because it feels so aligned. And gosh, Spirit has brought me here. This wasn't on the plan. This wasn't. And that's the other thing. The grief that I'm sitting with, that I have for the last 7 years. This is what I've realized in reflection, in preparation for this podcast, is that yes, I've lost loved ones, but I've also had to look at grieving what I thought life was going to look like, the dream, what my children would do, where I would be. I had to really grieve and have sadness around just letting go the attachment of what you think life is supposed to be and just come back into the present moment. So when I find myself in that head and then physical body, it's like, hold on, just breathe and come back. And I do breath work to bring me back. It really helps. And then I tap into what is it that I want to create. I want to create ease. I want to create harmony, peace, calm in my life, regardless of what's going on. I want to witness and observe rather than trying to control the outcome, because that's mind stuff. I just want to take inspired action. So what can I do today then to allow me to choose from a different place? And then everything sort of calms and my energy opens and I can just be me. And you know what? If that's not enough for the other person, I've realized that's not my stuff. It's really not mine. We're all co-creating. We all come from one place. So it's like, oh, hold on. We've all got our stuff. I might be a little bit more aware than others, but how interesting is that? Be a teacher for me. I will be a teacher for you. And let's evolve in a way that's going to, my intention around the work I do is that raising the frequency of people so that they can hold in their field potential for the greater good. If it is for the highest good, always end my prayers and intention, if it's for the highest good of all, allow me to receive opportunities that are going to help me or protect me and my loved ones from things that aren't going to serve me. But the work is to make sure that my energy is strong enough and resilient enough to face what my soul's come down to experience. And that is exciting to see who comes in, who goes.
Absolutely. You're speaking to the converted. And I think that's just such a beautiful way. I want to, at some point in the journey, and just to talk about, how sometimes things manifest in the physical and how that affected you. Because I remember almost the diagnosis. And so do you want to just talk about the autoimmune condition and how you navigated that in terms of, because it's kind of wasn't another, I guess, you had the disconnect and the anger and the anxiety work, and that was kind of coming to a place. And then talk to us a little about the dis-ease in the body, please.
Yes. So because I would stress about the very, very small things, because of what we've spoken about. Um, at the time, I was in my life going through a lot of what people would find stressful, but my level of stress, I would take it to another level. and and what would happen is that I would get pains in my body, and I was seeing that homeopath, and he couldn't understand where this pain was coming from because I was still very young. I think I was in my 30s. He didn't even consider testing me for an autoimmune disease. So I had been sitting with pain in my ankles for about 8 or 9 months, and it would flare up and then go away. And he said, okay, let's just go for a test to see your cortisol levels. Let's do a blood test. And it came back, you have this autoimmune disease called rheumatoid arthritis. It's inflammation in your body. And what really shocked me was that the definition of this autoimmune disease is that you are attacking yourself. Healthy cells, you're attacking healthy cells that are working perfectly, that are doing what they need to, but it's not good enough. And I was attacking myself. And so that specific disease is eating away the cartilage and the bone of your body. And of course, I was shocked at that stage because I was already on a healing journey and trying to uncover but it was still that deep core stuff that I wasn't obviously ready to deal with. I was now ready when I started the 2-year healing course with the school. I think I knew I would have 2 years of tools that are going to help me start looking at this deeply and really clear. And I realized it's also ancestral. I didn't realize my father had it in his last few months with us. It is an ancestral not good enough, and not being connected to your body, not taking yourself into account in life, where the body was screaming, Janine, I'm here. Don't forget about me. I carry all the wisdom as well of your past experiences. You're ignoring you. You're ignoring me. And so the pain would bring me to this awareness of, I've got to make changes here. And that's when I started loving myself on a different level, you know, on a physical level. What am I intaking food wise? Am I exercising? No, I don't take time to buy food for myself. I buy food for everybody else. I don't exercise, you know, I'll take them to do what it's around coming back. And I couldn't ignore it anymore, to a point where I couldn't walk. I couldn't do silly things like driving a car, brushing my teeth, brushing my children's hair. I couldn't tie up their hair because it had developed into my hands. It had come into my jawline. So I couldn't, you know, you get a locked jaw and I can't eat. I can't physically eat. It got to a point where survival, if you don't take time for you now, I mean, the rheumatologist said to my husband, if she doesn't take the medication, now another allopathic round of allopathic medication, she's going to end up in a wheelchair. When I heard that, it was a shock because I was young. I still had my whole life ahead of me. Like, what does that look like? And so that's the journey of then self-healing on a physical level, meeting so many people, you know, having my whole team, my dietitian, the integrative doctor, everybody was trying to help. And that also became so overwhelming. The different diets that I had to go on. Also, you know, I was depressed at that time. I couldn't eat anything. I mean, we're talking about over 10 years ago, I think. You know, they weren't gluten-free anything. So, you know, for me to go shopping and read labels was another like, oh, really? Like, yes, really. Take some time out, learn. I learned so much about what was, maybe that's the interlude to where this actually took me, what I was thinking, because I would get upset about what was going on and then I'd have a flare up. I would stress about something and I'd have a major flare up and it would make it even worse. So I had to really start looking at what is going on in my mind, my attitude towards this. What is my attitude towards this? Because at that stage, you're limiting me. So what happened was I started changing my language about I'm going to fight this. I'm going to win, to actually thank you for giving me this time. I finally had permission to look after myself. Whereas before I had to look after everybody else, this illness gave me permission because I was in so much pain that the people around me could see, okay, she really does need to take time here. So it gave me the time to start studying about diet and that mind-body connection and how what was going on in my mind was absolutely, and my beliefs were actually triggering this. And what I found so fascinating was that I went to a kinesiologist who had the Rife machine that's supposed to help, help with, apparently I had lupus as well. I mean, it was such a journey where I actually had to stop. Everybody stop. I had so many supplements in my cupboard. I had so much going on that it was actually a bit over. It was too much. I had to just start taking control in a way where I know what's best for me. Let me just trust what I feel I need to do today. And one of the things was I was guided to see this kinesiologist, and he tested my belief around whether I was going to heal. And at that stage, I wasn't going to take the medication from the rheumatologist because it was chemotherapy. I'm like, I'm busy healing my gut. I'm not going to now take chemo and affect my immune system. I just didn't want to. I was very scared to do that. So I did everything I could for about a year or so. And actually the pain did start getting better. It was less, but this kinesiologist tested that there was a core belief that I couldn't do this. So on my conscious mind, it was like, of course I'm going to beat this. I didn't even tell my medical aid that I have a chronic disease. I wasn't even going to go there and make this a reality. I was so confident, but my subconscious mind was holding on to, you're not good enough. You can't even get this right. like working with a disease. I'm like, really? So that was quite like a whoa, okay, I need to start studying about the subconscious mind. So then, I mean, the way the universe just brings the right people at the right time would introduce me to these different modalities that I used for myself, clearing away limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, which really helped. So, yes, I started to look after myself on a very deep level and at all levels. What emotion? What is that anger? And also, it's okay to feel anger, but if it's been there for too long, look at clearing that. Is it serving you? Is it even mine? So that's been the journey of unpacking all of that.
And Janine, tell me, are you pain free today? Are you?
I am. I am.
Wow,
I am.
that's
No, I'm pain free. I'm
incredible.
not even on supplements. Where, and I think that was when I did one of the processes of what is it visually, what does it look like to be healed? So I go through a process of what does it look like and then feel like. And what came up, this image was, I will know that I'm healed when I open up my medicine cabinet and it's empty. How weird. This came up. And I thought, okay, so that's what does that feel like? What does it feel like to not have all of this? And I felt into, okay, so what can I choose today to create that? And I just kept telling myself that. I would tell my subconscious mind, you have a strong and healthy immune system. You have a strong and healthy immune system. I would create new neural pathways. I would really do the work. And so I can't remember what your question is, but what was your question?
Talking about being pain free.
Oh, pain free. Yes. So, yes, I've been pain free for years.
I noted you did the tapping. Do you use the tapping?
I used to, yeah, before I went to bed. This is the thymus gland, which is all around your immune system. And it's also like the heart. And like, so yes, I would tap every night. Okay, I'm going to wake up pain free. I'm going to wake up pain free. And I didn't wake up pain free for years, but it's okay. It's fine. I would do that as like I said, committed to a process and just be patient because I've realized it's all around that journey. Like when I got to a point of being so pain free, I started freaking out, meaning, okay, I'm not doing the work. I need to be in pain to prove that I'm conscious and I'm learning from I'm like, seriously. And there was another level of now you're creating pain to prove that you are, I don't know, it was so funny to witness.
You became addicted to doing the work.
Yes, I'm like, hang on. But if I don't have my energy to creating pain, where can I put that energy? And then there was oh, hold on, I can talk about this with people. I could put my energy there and help others that think that they can't get over this. So then I just started managing my energy, mastering my energy. Solar plexus, huh? I was mastering my energy. Where do I want to put my energy that is aligned with what yeah, so my purpose was changing and just being open to like, yes, okay, next. I don't need to be next. And that's when the grief came in and the loss, the heart chakra, losing the. So, yes, I have been pain free, physically pain free for many years. When I do feel a twinge or something come up, I go, okay, what am I trying to prove? What am I trying to avoid? What am I, and I just ask that question now and I breathe and I giggle. That's interesting. And it releases. So it's my body's still, like you said, the wounded child doesn't go away. It's there, but I'm using it in a very different way.
It's not driving the bus, you're driving the bus. Yeah. Yeah. But it's there to help you learn, and I love the curiosity. Janine, I mean we could talk for ages, but I think it's time to kind of ask that question. Like if you were at the beginning of your journey and you were a seeker and you were curious around either healing the emotional and the mental, which was where it started, or even the physical, where would you start? What would you suggest to our listeners or viewers?
I would suggest that you trust your knowing. You know what is best for you. And so when you have this attitude of exploring what's possible, see what comes up as opportunities and make a choice to do it and see what unfolds, especially if there's a sense of lightness in your body or excitement and it doesn't even make sense. but and it might, yeah, other people might have different ideas. I would suggest that you trust that feeling because it is guidance. I've realized guidance comes in the most interesting ways, and you're not going to know until you make that choice. And then once you've made that choice, you start surrounding yourself with groups of people that are like-minded to create that safe space to explore. You're not an island. You know, you can read the books, you can understand it on a conscious level, but you need to experience it and embody it. So I would suggest that put the intention out there to receive support in a way that's going to bring balance and harmony and beauty in your life, and see what comes, and really don't be afraid of getting anything wrong. So, and just going for it. I mean, the fact that I was led to that chakra healing class, um, and there was just, there was just I didn't even think about it. Don't think too much. Feel, use your senses. If there's this excitement or yeah, expansion in your energy field, or just a little bit of curiosity, just go for it, because you'll find that that leads you to the next person, the next medicine, the next, and then you come to this not full circle, not, but you will, and you'll see what works and what doesn't work for you. So investigate, explore what's out there. Um, to gain a deeper awareness of who you are. I think that's nice to have that in the background when you're setting that intention. I want greater awareness so that I can choose from a different place, so that I can look at my program, whatever it is, hold that in your field and then go do some research. And see what comes through AI, whatever. You know, trust the reels that come. Don't attach to anything. Use it to allow you to make a choice that then will lead on to gaining awareness of yourself, so that you can identify what your blocks are and then choose, I'm not going to take action from that anymore. So yeah, it's go for it. Don't wait that it develops on a physical level.
So acknowledge, so trust the pain and suffering to be your guidance, and to use it in a way that is constructive. Janine, it's been so lovely. I've loved what you've shared with our audience. The way I'm excited to see what happens around the throat chakra in the next 7 years.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
That feels exciting. And the fact that you've kind of, figured that out for yourself. Every 7 years, it's the next chakra, and you're coming out of the heart, which is interesting, because that's kind of my favorite safe place, right?
Yes. So you don't come out of it. They're all activated now. And I use the energy of all of those, but in a different way. So you still tap in. So I will be now speaking maybe from a more heart-centered space, because I've had to go through that. So absolutely, you have to be functioning from your heart at all times. I'm saying the challenges seem to have been there, and they do flap over, but you're very excited to see what the future is going to hold, with no expectation. I'm just going to be present. Okay. I'm not trying to
Well,
control.
you've used your throat and the throat chakra beautifully today. So I really want to thank you for that, and for sharing from the heart, from the solar plexus, from the sacral, and from the base, and using
Yes.
energy. And just, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure our audience is going to love this conversation. Thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you, Cindy.